if you want to understand your wife better, enter into her world. Like, take a step into that world, like, and try to learn her system. But it's really simple. It's 4 things. She's either in winter, spring, summer, or fall.
This is what I love. I so love and am so passionate about with seasons, because now you can speak the same language. Every person understands seasons. They we go through it, spring and summer, fall, and winter. We are in those. We understand what's happening in those. So just relating it to a female physiology, now we can speak the same language. You know, I tell him
it is like I've learned a new language.
All right, so I'm here to interview my husband. I think he has a lot of good insight into this. He has walked on this journey with me, and I'm looking forward to what he has to share, the wisdom he has in this area as well. And I hope that it will be an encouragement to other husbands and other wives as well, to know that this is not just your journey, it is a journey with your husband. What do you think is the top benefit that you've had, or the thing you've gained the most from knowing seasons?
Point blank, like closeness to you, like knowing your heart and knowing what you're going through in a deeper, more intimate way. It's just drawn us way closer.
There's been an understanding that we've shared that we did not have. I mean, this has been only 3 years of time that we've, and it's still so new.
Grow, like, and as our kids are getting older too, and how you're teaching them in this has really opened my eyes, because I'm learning right with them a lot of times. So
I mean, we've been married for 13 years, and so for the first 10 years, I mean, we didn't have any kind of understanding. 14. Yeah, almost 14. And so we, coming into this understanding of, hey, a woman is going through 4 phases and she's operating differently in each one of those phases, and then being able to now come together on that and share that with each other, it has improved our relationship probably more than anything else. I mean, other than our relationship with the Lord, obviously. Like, it has brought us to a place of closeness, like you're saying, and understanding of, we're on the same page now. We're speaking the same language.
I would compare it to, like, there's been this wall or door between us our whole marriage. And because of the revelation of seasons and the 28-day cycle, and that there's, just the picture that it paints for me, that door's been opened to me, and I can pass through it now, versus it just being like, I knock on it all the time and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on in there, it's really a great thing for me to see the visual of, like, seasons in how it affects. It's not 24 hours. I get to see my wife, like, bloom and then wilt and then dormancy and then bloom, and then she goes through these processes of growth every single month. It's really encouraging, actually.
And you're not afraid of what's going to come.
No.
Like, behind the door.
Yeah.
Whereas before, you'd knock on the door, you didn't know what was going to come through that door when it opened.
Yeah, we were talking about is there a monster on the other side? Like, what's going to happen? Because, I mean, really, if you knock on the door at the wrong time, sometimes it'll jump out and get you.
Yeah.
And it's not like that anymore. I know how to be patient, or add patience to how I approach you. Or one of the things that it's not a gift that I have, but it's something that every person can operate in, and that's empathy. And so I have to work harder to show empathy. And so this knowledge has helped me enter into relationship with an empathetic heart at times. I actually can now relate to you. I can understand, like, we talk about, like, dormancy, like mom's dormant right now, like, it's winter time. That means something to me now. I can see it, and I can see how I need to pick up the slack a little bit. I need to, take up, because then come springtime, come summertime, like, you're right there. You're outpacing me a lot of times because of where you're at. There's been so many days of frustration because I expect you to be at a certain place and you're not there. And I'm like, you were just there like, I mean, we talked about this, and now it's time to do it, and you can't do it, or there's, I mean, not that there was a lot of, well, sometimes complaining or discomfort or, you know, attitude, or just like
the
a
monster
complete,
at the door.
a complete change of heart about it, or mind, you know. And so I mean, there's probably more times in our marriage in frustration because of the anticipation of like, well, what's it gonna be like today? And now we have conversations, and we can plan and prepare, and we can give account to our calendar and when things are going to happen. And it's so much easier for me. It helps put the thought in my mind to expect that, versus like expect, well, you're a perfectly healthy human being, why can't you keep up? You know, and that really changes things.
And then it really even becomes like you expect the worst. After so many frustrating times, then you just expect, oh, my wife's not going to do this. My wife's not going to be okay with this.
And now that we're like, now that I know, it's like, hey, it's winter. We don't need to be talking about a serious conversation at this moment right now. And I can step in because I have the foreknowledge of like, let's wait a couple days let's just put it on ice and talk about it again later. And that's so helpful.
And this is what I love. I so love and am so passionate about with seasons, because now you can speak the same language. Every person understands seasons. We go through it, spring and summer, fall, and winter. We are in those. We understand what's happening in those. So just relating it to a female physiology, now we can speak the same language. You know, I tell him
it is like I've learned a new language in a lot of ways.
Because we throw terms like, hey, it's the luteal phase. Do you know what that is?
I mean, I'm learning, but
off the cuff, no. You could have, like, what season is it?
Right,
Do you know?
Right now?
No, what is luteal? What season?
Nope.
See? I mean, it's a different language. But if I say fall,
I'm there.
Now you know, hey, we're moving to winter. Leaves are falling. Like, the first half of fall, we're productive, but, you know, late fall tends to be the hardest time, the PMS. You know that word, right?
Well, it used to be ammunition, but now I don't. I that's silly, but no.
How do you feel about raising daughters? We have 5 of them, and they're all under this age. Just the other day, we heard at church, oh boy, Jeremiah, you're outnumbered, and ooh, I don't envy you having girls. And then the quote we love, right? Just wait until they're teenagers. We love that. We get it all the time. We hear it all the time. Store, people we know, whatever. And so how do you feel about that now that you understand these?
There's gonna be a season where their bodies are changing, and their emotions are highs and lows, and, you know, boys enter the picture. And, you know, as a dad, that can be terrifying with one girl, let alone 5. And so I've really approached it from the perspective like God's going to give us the strength that we need. To answer your question, I'm ecstatic about it. Like, I see how this topic of seasons, it expands the spectrum of knowledge. It goes to the very elementary of what a kid learns, and it says, this is up, this is down. You know, this is winter, summer, spring, fall. It's very elementary. You can teach a 5-year-old about it, and to them, they get it. And then you can, as you've done, walk them through your seasons and show them these are the behaviors that happen. These are the things that my body does. And then as they get older, you can take it from an elementary level, and you can add depth to it. In the same way that the seasons, you can break down a season, and you can add a whole lot of depth to it. And now you can add the terms like luteal and you know, different stuff like that to it. And so it's really a good foundation to be taught from. So I feel like personally, and we have this incredible wealth that God's given us, and it's not money, it's not monetary. But we have this wealth of knowledge that God's given us, and we get to just like watch our kids take ownership of it, make it their own, and inherit this incredible blessing that God's given us. And to me, it's setting them up far greater. Like we've looked down the road at, like, as our kids get older and start pursuing marriage and start realizing that they have their own path they're going to walk. This information sets them up for success.
Yeah.
Especially as a woman in a world where, like, so much of that just is, like, tucked behind, like, hidden.
Almost
it's shameful. Yeah. And it's
Right.
it's actually a gift from God. I mean, the perspective of of the cycle, it goes so much deeper, and so there's so much more that we have to learn.
Oh, yeah,
and as we unpack
absolutely.
it,
I absolutely loved what you have said, in that it's like they're inheriting a successful business.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't just, we're not just having daughters go through the change and then feeling weird about that, or coming into womanhood having no idea what to even do with that.
And plus, as a man, like, it gives me a foundation that I actually can speak into them and teach them, because I can teach them seasons. I don't have to be talking about a woman's cycle. I can teach them nature.
And seasons are beautiful. And just like a woman's cycle is beautiful, it is what produces new life. It's what makes us be able to grow a human being inside of us. It's amazing, and seasons are now beautiful. And you can start from the earliest age to show them the beauty of it, because our culture is, like, teaching them that it's like, it's a yucky time, it's a curse, it's a this, it's a that. And there's so many, then they enter into marriage and it's like infertility and all this stuff. And that was my road for a long time. From the moment I came into my seasons, it felt like a curse. It was all wacky. And then we get married and we're having miscarriages and hormonal imbalance like crazy for a lot of years. And so now this has become beautiful. And so I love that I get to teach my girls from the start. They don't have to do it. They don't have to walk through it with that mentality.
Yeah.
They can walk through it as this is a beautiful time.
Yeah.
And this is, we're setting them up with success, because this is 40 some years of their life.
And it takes away the urge or the desire to hide it. Like a lot of people want to avoid it.
That's for sure.
Even parents, they don't, it's awkward. They want to avoid it, and they, that's their feeling towards it, because they don't understand themselves. And so this really gives you the opportunity to just open the box and look inside and say, what are we dealing with here? And it's a simple way that a child can learn, but it's also a simple way that anyone can learn.
Yeah.
Especially, I'll say it this way, it's incredible for men.
Oh yeah.
I think it probably is more profound for a man than it is for a little girl. At times. So.
In marriage, isn't one of the things we're always seeking is to understand each other, and this is a huge way to be able to understand how a woman is made, and it really translates in relationship too. Like you're saying, we know when to have certain conversations and when not to.
Yeah.
As a woman, that's what we really want. We want to be understood, and so this is definitely how your marriage can improve, because there is that understanding between the two of you.
And it's not just a momentary thing either. It's because now I have more understanding now throughout the day. Especially during the hard times, I'm able to pitch in a little bit more. I'm able to add, more value to our relationship throughout the day as well. So
something you wanted to do before, but just didn't know how. Was like, how can I help?
And that's never the same answer. Like, how can I help? Like, every season, it's a different answer, and so the relationship is closer.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to other men? Maybe their wives don't know this. Maybe, what advice would you want to share with the husbands in this?
It's not complicated. Like,
that's really good advice. Because it sure feels complicated.
Well,
right?
like, my advice would be, like, communicate. Especially if you're a man listening to this, like, communicate gently, introduce an idea and then let it sit for a little bit. Don't expect there to be a response. Let your wife learn it at her own pace. don't push something on her that she's not ready for. And then let the Holy Spirit lead too. Like let that idea, that seed soak in. If it's something that God's leading, like, because God's going to speak. Like, you're not God to your wife, you know, like God's God. And so just be patient.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not like, I'm the one who's needing to change in this, because the reality is my wife is the one who has the system. So I'm the one who has to enter into her system, you know, and so it's less about, you know, this might be controversial, but it's less about a woman entering into a man's world. If you want to understand your wife better, enter into her world. Like, take a step into that world, like, and try to learn her system. But it's really simple. It's 4 things. She's either in winter, spring, summer, or fall, you know, or pregnant. You know, like,
that's a whole other story.
You're going to be entering into one of those things. And I would say, like, springtime and summer can be the most rewarding seasons. Don't get impatient.
Yeah.
Like, don't expect, like, if it's winter, be kind to your wife. Let her rest. Let her have that dormancy. Important to let her know, like, I've got this. You take the time that you need, because, I mean, you're not stuck there. Like, you'll come out of it, and there'll be that energy will transform and being released now through productivity and different things like that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the truth of the matter is, we are in a male-driven world. I think that's just through ignorance. I think in a lot of ways, you know, we are in a 24-hour rhythm. Everybody is forced to perform in a circadian rhythm. Yeah. Well, men do good with that because they are even like that. They are built to be in that circadian rhythm. And even though as women we have that circadian rhythm, we're going like this in an infradian rhythm, and nobody knows what to do with that, women included. So I'm not saying women are better, by no means. I'm saying there's a whole another rhythm that we must enter into so that the women can receive the value that God created them with. This is from the beginning of time. This is not something new. That God made us this way. And so that's why we're wanting to share this, is because we need to learn how to ride those waves with the women so that the women can be valued.
And just plainly put, if you put too much pressure on a downward slope, like, you're setting your wife up for failure. And as a man, like, don't do that. You set her up for success. You put her in a place where she can be successful in what she's going through. And I think that's one piece of advice that I would get, is like, don't put too much pressure in the wrong season. So
So you first got to know the seasons.
Yeah.
And then you've got to talk together about this.
Yeah.
And trust me, it will be fun. It will be enjoyable. We have enjoyed pretty much everything that we've gone through in this.
And we can talk about it in front of our kids now, because it's seasons. It's I mean, and they get it, and it's not like this uncomfortable, awkward conversation that your kids are like, stop, you know. It's not. We're talking about nature. We're talking about you know, and it's, we can have the conversation in a car. We can have the conversation out in public. You know, it's not a weird thing.
Yeah. I mean, our 8-year-old, I've lost count of how many times she comes to me and says, "Hey Mom, what season are you in?" Yeah. Because she wants to know. Yeah. She might see me a little grouchy. And so she's like, "What season?" And I tell her late fall, and she goes, "Oh, okay." And so then there's a level of understanding. Yeah. And she can now feel like, okay, I'm giving Mom a little space. I'm giving Mom some grace in this because I understand this is a harder time.
And it's a really gentle way to let you know that maybe you're being a little grouchy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not you're PMSing. That's that's an aggressive way. Like, you know, it's, what season are you in, babe? Like, oh, okay. Like, we just know what to do with that, and it's gentle. I like it.
It's great. It helps every relationship in the home, and especially the daughters. Yeah. So, If you're wanting more information, feel free to subscribe and keep with us here, because this is what I want to be sharing. This is the things that I want to learn and discover more for myself, so that I can be able to teach it more. This can be a family thing. This can be something that every single person in the family can benefit from. We can have a solid foundation in this. And so I encourage you to just join with us in this journey. And just really quick too, this book right here is where it all began. I am not encouraging every single thing that is shared in this book, but this is where I got the concept of seasons. And there's just a lot of really good information on how to cycle sync. And so if you're wanting more information, if this is brand new for you, this is a good place to start. But then I encourage you to also, seek it out in nature, in God's creation, in God's word, how you're made. This is our identity as women, and it's a beautiful thing. So thank you so much for joining us. This has been really fun, and I look forward to sharing more with you very soon.